First thing I did after coming back to life was forcing the woman who loved me to swallow a bamboo viper alive. And me? I swallowed a boring old rock. Everyone thought I'd lost it, but what they didn't know was, in less than a minute, every living thing on Earth was about to go through the shift, and every human would gain abilities based on whatever they'd eaten right before it hit. In my past life, right before the shift came, I'd eaten a lamb-stuffed bun, so I woke up with the wool ability. At first, in rough weather, burning mental energy to produce wool still had some use. But as the shift's monsters got stronger and stronger, I basically became nothing but a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. This time around, though, I came back fully prepared. In my last life, I'd seen a dog with the power of a primal god. Turned out it was just some stray the owner of the antique shop on South Street kept. It had transformed. Out of curiosity, I eventually got the full story from the owner. The dog had accidentally swallowed a jade stone while protecting him, so the first thing I did after coming back was track down that antique shop and scrape together every last penny to buy that jade. As for why I forced my deskmate Xiaowan Ro to swallow her pet bamboo viper, it's because Xiaowan Ro had feelings for me. In my past life, even when the shift hit, she never left my side. She'd awakened an ice ability, more than enough to protect herself. She could have survived the post-shift hellhole just fine, but she stuck to me like glue, protecting me. A total dead weight with basically no real power. Because of me dragging her down, we both ended up dead. Coming back this time, I obviously had to help her awaken something way stronger. In my last life, Xiaowan Ro's pet bamboo viper had been affected by the shift and transformed into a dragon. If it hadn't lost a fight to the guard dog at the South Street antique shop, it had a real shot at evolving into a 5-clawed divine dragon. As for why she had to swallow it whole, that was hard-won knowledge from the last life. Swallowing it whole gave the strongest ability awakening. If only my dragon vein jade weren't impossible to split by hand, I would have split it with Xiaowan Ro 50-50. Even a lesser dragon form ability would still be way stronger than the ice ability she got last time. Right now, faced with my insistence, Xiaowan Ro's expression was torn. On one side was the boy she'd been in love with for years, and on the other, her beloved pet. She was deeply conflicted, but looking at how serious I was, Xiaowan Ro made up her mind. I'm sorry, Xiaoqing. For him, I'd do anything. She grabbed the bamboo viper, pinched its tongue, and right there in front of the whole class, tilted her head back and slid it down like a noodle. Watching Xiaowan Ro actually go along with my crazy, the whole class was stunned silent. All they could do was stare and let out a collective, "What?" They felt like they were going crazy too. Until Xiaowan Ro bolted to the water dispenser, chugged glass after glass, and slumped against the wall, gagging. The whole class finally snapped out of it. Oh my god, Xiaowan Ro, you actually did it? Xiaowan Ro, are you insane? He told you to eat it and you just did? I must still be asleep, there's no way I just saw that. Even the teacher still hadn't recovered from the shock. He couldn't wrap his head around kids these days. While everyone was losing it, I walked over to Xiaowan Ro. Her face, usually as pretty as a fairy's, was ghost white, with wisps of hair plastered to her forehead from sweat. She looked unbearably fragile. My own face was just as pale. Fighting through the pain in my gut, I pulled her into my arms. Hey, Wanjie, I did it. Xiaowan Ro let out a pained groan and wrapped her arms around my waist. I gently cupped her pale face. Blood was starting to seep from the corner of her mouth. The sight of it scared the teacher half to death. He scrambled for his phone to call an ambulance. Meanwhile, Gao Junhao, the guy who'd been chasing Xiaowan Ro forever and always got shot down, felt a roaring in his head. Pure rage nearly blacked him out. Built like a tank from years of training, he came stomping over, boom, boom, boom. Chen Ji, you piece of trash! You knew she liked you! And you made her eat a snake? His shout rattled like thunder. The whole class flinched. I didn't even glance at Gao Junhao. I just kept holding Xiaowan Ro as she got weaker, then pulled out my phone. I watched the countdown on the screen as Gao Junhao shoved through the crowd charging at me. I held Xiaowan Ro and counted down softly. As the clock hit exactly 10 pare, a blast of light outside the window, packed with enormous energy, erupted. Blinding, almost impossible to look at. In less than a minute, an invisible electromagnetic storm swept through the entire solar system in just seconds. During that time, everyone glanced out the window instinctively, and saw nothing. Most shrugged it off pretty fast. A few pulled out their phones to search, only to find zero signal. What just happened? That flash was bright, my phone's offline. Same! Cell tower must have blown up. Meanwhile, Gao Junhao, who was still obsessed with Xiaowan Ro, came charging at me furious. I'm gonna make this right for Wanro. His voice dripped with murderous intent. Gao Junhao was built, 6'3" solid muscle. Every classmate was mentally saying their goodbyes for me. Everyone silently grieved for me. But just as that massive fist came swinging at my face, a crack rang out, and the sky, which had been clear just seconds ago, flipped from day to night in a heartbeat, a streak of blood-red light pouring down from above. The solar storm had thrown off the magnetic field, warping the color of the sky itself. Right as this bizarre phenomenon erupted, Xiaowan Ro, in my arms, let out a gut-wrenching scream. Everyone looked over instinctively. Xiaowan Ro, who'd just swallowed the viper whole, face still pale as a sheet, was changing. A pair of dragon horns had sprouted from her head, crackling with silver arcs of electricity. Around her cheeks, faint jade-white scales had appeared. It was eerily beautiful. Jade spirit claws surfaced, and a small dragon wreathed in green mist coiled around her, cyan lightning flashing non-stop. A pale jade glow radiated off her whole body, outlining every inch of her figure. Behind her, a jade-white dragon tail swayed slowly. She looked like a mythical beast goddess straight out of a drama. Name, Xiao Wanro. Rank, First Tier. Common Skill, Jade Spirit Armor. Abilities, Azure Sky, Divine Thunder, Cloud and Rain Dominion. Cloud and Rain Dominion, Azure Sky, Divine Thunder. The user can unleash powerful Jade Lightning, effective against spirits and evil-type entities. Cloud and Rain Dominion. The user can ride clouds and command the wind. Call down rain at will. After the shift, all of this flooded into Xiao Wanro's mind. The info dropped into her head instantly. Sharp as she was, Xiao Wanro started to piece it together. She was beginning to understand why I'd made her swallow it. This was entirely for her own good. She'd always been ride or die for me, and now she absolutely would not tolerate anyone challenging me. She stepped in front of me and just held out one palm, easily stopping Gao Junhao's massive fist dead. Not only did that punch do nothing, the second it made contact with her palm, it hit the layer of Azure Sky Divine Thunder covering her Jade Spirit Armor, and burned his hand. Gao Junhao instantly let out a scream. He clutched his right hand, now scorched black and smoking, and panicked, scrambling around for water to pour on it. The scales on Xiao Wanro's cheeks slowly sank back beneath her skin. The dragon horns on her head retracted, rounding back down. Even she was spooked by her own power. She quickly spun around and came back to me, looking up at me with those puppy dog eyes, clearly fishing for a compliment. But I looked exactly the same as before. Yet Xiao Wanro could clearly feel that every time she faced me, something deep inside her started to tremble. It was the kind of fear a weak creature feels when it's standing in front of its natural predator, hardwired into its DNA. She had a hunch, based on what I'd said earlier, that I'd already swallowed something else. She didn't know what it was, but the overwhelming urge to submit only made her feelings for me run even deeper. She had no idea how I knew everything about the shift, but she trusted I'd never hurt her. What she had now, I gave her. And right then, a flood of light burst through the window, growing brighter and brighter, lighting up the night sky like it was the middle of the day. Almost at the same time, Gao Junhao's screaming cut off. A second of silence. Then, screams erupted all over the classroom, as people who had no idea what was going on got hit by the eerie light from outside, and started panicking. What's happening? Did Xiao Wanro do this? Ow! Something grabbed me! Help! Help! Total chaos, and then, the blood-red light faded, and there in the classroom stood a massive fish-shaped creature, flesh torn, bones jutting out everywhere. Pinned beneath it were two bodies, barely recognizable. The rest of the class dropped to the floor in terror, staring in horror at the two figures twitching under it, as the massive, grotesque thing made wet, crunching sounds, and scattered among the students were several more twisted figures, some shriveled like skull monkeys, some contorted like worms, some fast as wolves, but all sharing one thing. Their flesh was inside out, raw and exposed. Horrifying, like demons crawled straight out of hell. They were all hunting the normal students in the room, blades in hand, fangs bared, tearing apart anyone they got their hands on, right then and there, ripping them in half, eating them alive. What had been a slightly messy classroom had become the opening act of a massacre, no different from hell itself. Class President Zhang Ya stared blankly at the scene, completely unable to make sense of what was happening. How had the whole world flipped upside down the moment that light flashed?